What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is presented by Regions. And as I sit here, we are still under the big COVID-19 situation. So we're recording a number of these shows to be aired at later dates. And as I record this, I want to let everybody know, as I've said in so many different episodes now, that under the COVID-19 restrictions, I'm doing this out of my home office. Which means what to you? It means there may be some background noise that is not typical of the show, or at least wasn't typical until the COVID-19 situation set in, which means that my children are just on the other side of the door, and on that door reads a sign that says, "Silence, I'm recording in here," and I've made eye contact with them to let them know that this is going on, yet you still may hear some things coming through this microphone that are atypical of a show like this. There may be bickering, there may be doors slamming, there may be dogs barking. We can almost count on a dog barking, but there may be something like that, or the trampoline making the squishing, springing sounds behind me outside the window. I beg your patience as we all muddle through this type of thing. What's Working is designed to bring to you ideas from people that are the forefront of thought of what it is that they do. I want their stories. I want their background. I want to hear how and why they got into what they do and how they're following the trends that are shaping their business, in the hopes that you and I can pick something up from what they're doing or saying and incorporate it into our own lives, our own business, our own customer interactions, whatever that may be. Now, let me introduce the topic of the show today through a couple of memories of mine. I give and go to these conferences across the nation, and many times one of the keynote speakers is what we call in the industry a technologist. These are individuals who predict rosy futures based on their understanding of the capabilities of technology. And for years, they were touting the extraordinary potential of artificial intelligence and the extraordinary potential of big data. And there were neuro-language processing and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. But they predicted a future that all of us would just love to be a part of. Big, huge problems being resolved. And many of us that sit in the back that are somewhat skeptical, and I'm, talking about myself, want to say, well, when is this going to happen? When is this going down, man? When are we going to start seeing this stuff? One guy predicted the ability of 3D printers to go into interior Africa and through a solar panel that powered this 3D printer, print arms and legs for people. These kids that had been a part of some horrible warfare, many of them were without an arm and leg. And this guy came out there and said, here's what we're going to be able to do through 3D technology. We're going to be able to print these on site for these kids, custom designed. And we went, that sounds great. That's just wonderful. Is it happening? I don't know. It could be that in our time of COVID-19, all this technology they've been predicting is working to create the vaccine that we're all so eager to get our hands on. Virtual reality and augmented reality were a part of each of those technologists' conversations. And it's fascinating what virtual reality and augmented reality is predicted to do. Here in Mobile, we have a guy that's on the forefront of that. He and his business, Cockerel is his name. And we're going to get him on the phone here a little bit to talk about what virtual reality and augmented reality are doing in the business world. We can be entertained by this stuff endlessly due to its capability, but what is it doing in the business environment? And we'll meet him when we get back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is presented by Regions. In a moment, Cockerel on the line, virtual reality, augmented reality, Third Realm Creations. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is brought to you by Regions. Find us on Facebook, What's Working with Cam Marston. Find us on Instagram, where you can keep up with the things that we've got going on. We'll be back.
Think about how people really see you. The kid at the drive-thru just sees a coffee drinker.
Please pull forward.
Your local barista sees the person who loves a smiley face in their latte.
See you next time.
It's kind of the same way with insurance. Other insurance companies just see a customer, but a State Farm agent sees more. They see you as a neighbor. Your State Farm agent is here to get to know who you really are, so they can help life go right.
Call me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, in Mobile at 666-1616.
Hi, this is Cam Marston. If you're struggling with management, motivation, recruiting, and retention in today's generationally diverse workplace, My half-day workshop called Leading Multi-Generational Teams will be helpful to you. It's a leadership development course that teaches leadership skills and management insights for all levels of workplace leadership. I'll be holding a course open to the public on Wednesday, August 26th at the Mobile Chamber and invite you to attend or come with members of your leadership team. Seating is limited to 30 people, so call the Chamber ASAP to get pricing info and to reserve your seats early. This course is one my clients from all over the country have enjoyed and bring me back to deliver time and time again. It's interactive, very fast-paced, and lots of fun. Again, Wednesday, August 26th at the Mobile Chamber of Commerce, or go to whatsworkingcam.com to learn more.
Even if we don't meet in person, Regions is still here for you. We make it easier for you to stay informed and in control with online and mobile banking. You can check balances, transfer money, pay bills, deposit checks with Regions Mobile Deposit, and even set up helpful alerts no matter where you are. We're here to make it easier to bank your way. Learn more at regions.com/tools. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
I have on the phone Chris Cockrell, a Mississippian, but proudly moved to Mobile. I'm reading from his bio. Proudly moved to Mobile in the Gulf Coast in 2009. He's a Millsaps graduate from Jackson, Mississippi, and also a master's degree from Seton Hall University. Chris, thank you for your time. Welcome to What's Working.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So Third Realm Creations, or also Third Realm, is known as a venture or a virtual reality and augmented reality business. Now, I'm curious, before we get into what those things are, I'm curious if you are able to continue to do your work considering the COVID-19 pandemic that's on us as we're recording this show.
Sure. We're able to continue to work. Most of the people that we have on staff, they work remotely already. A lot of what we do obviously is computer based. So as long as we have people with a good internet connection and a reliable computer, and most of our guys being the sort of tech geeks like myself, everyone has a good computer and a good internet. So we're able to do work, but I think we obviously like a lot of other small businesses around the country, we have seen sort of a slowdown in the. We've had a lot of bids out, and we're very hopeful, and a lot of promising bids that were out that have been sort of put on hold for now. So as far as work goes, we're able to do the work from wherever we are, but the contracts to pay the people that do the work, that's another story entirely, because it sort of put a hold on all of the business that from the business end. It's put a pause on all of those things.
Oh man, I you're speaking straight to my soul. I had so many proposals out prior to this. I had so many, like you said, proposals and bids, clients all over the country, and everything has kind of stopped. And their answer to me is, we're not saying no, we're just saying not right now. We'll be back in touch. So it's
exactly.
Everything's on hiatus. Everything's on hold. Well, tell me exactly, and I think I know, the difference in augmented reality, virtual reality, and how you create it and who you create it for.
So augmented reality and virtual reality, a really, really easy way to differentiate the two is, one, you have to wear a headset or a virtual reality headset unit, and augmented reality is executed through a device such as an iPhone or an iPad or some smart device. One is virtual reality is totally submersive. It basically you are creating another environment entirely than you would in augmented reality. So virtual reality, we could put you on Mars if we wanted to, and we could show you different things, and you would be totally submersed in that environment. Augmented reality basically is basically, it's a lot like its name implies. It augments the environment around you, so it enhances things. It adds features to what you see and what you interact with every day. It just provides consumers with a new way to sort of interact with things and to engage with things that are in front of them that they may interact with on a day-to-day basis, but now through augmented reality in a different way.
So you're doing, Third Realm is developing both. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Well, Third Realm Creations is really a total. We're a total media company. We do everything from film production to graphics to animation to anything that you would think of through your typical media company. But what we do is we specialize in virtual and augmented reality content, programs. Everything from idea inception to execution to releasing the product or application for mass consumption to consumers.
So you concept it, you develop it, and then you work to distribute it on behalf of your client. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I've seen some augmented reality stuff. I feel like it was I forget where, but it was pretty cool. And I looked at it and went, that's cool. This is holding my attention. It was an advertisement for something. This is holding my attention. This is really cool. And it certainly got the cool factor for me. And I see this on your website. I think it's the OWA brochure that you all produced or something like that.
Yes.
It was fantastic and cool. Other than being cool, how is it being used?
Well, there may not be enough time for us to talk, through all of those. I mean, there are so many different applications that this can be used for in so many different industries. I guess the first one that comes to mind is education. That's one thing that we're very passionate about. Our education system hasn't gotten to that point where they've taken that leap yet, but there's so many great applications that could be built in augmented reality for the purposes of making education more interactive, more engaging for people. For example, so I don't know if you ever took chemistry, but when I was a kid, the coolest thing about chemistry were those little those little wooden dowels and the little wooden balls that were painted different colors, so you could make you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you can make a molecule.
Yeah, you make a molecule. You can make a H2O. You get one blue ball and you connect two red balls to it, and there you go. There's your H2O. And that was cool to me when I was a kid because it was interactive. It was something I could get my hands on. But when you talk about covalent bonds and different kinds of bonds and what those little dowels actually do, I'm lost, because that means I have to pick up my textbook and I have to read those things. Well, now you can create augmented reality programs where the kids can they can take molecules and they can put them together just like the balls and the dowels. But they can take that bond and they can take that apart and they can spin it around and they can look at it in 3D. And these things can be floating on top of their textbook. So it gives them that incentive to look at that, and things like that just feel like a more engaging way to learn to me. But also, I think about history. That was one of my least favorite subjects. It's actually weird how you grow up. Now it's one of my favorite things to do is kind of read history. But when I was a kid, I hated it because it was just, I had to read about it. And it was all basically stories. And I would rather have read comic books than history books. So, but instead of reading about the Declaration of Independence, for example, one of the things that we're working on now is developing a virtual reality experience. So when you're sitting at the table, when all of the founding fathers walk up to the table and they sign the Declaration of Independence, and you get a feel for being in that room and how big of a deal it was to part with Great Britain, and to just and then as those people walk up, you can pause it and you can point your virtual reality hand remote, and you can tell who that person was, and you can kind of learn more about that person. And it's just a more expansive, more engaging, and more just interesting way to learn, I think.
So let's talk about how you create that. This is very interesting. Let's say I'm in Philadelphia and I'm at an exhibit and I'm sitting at the table, and you've been asked to create this type of thing. Are you hiring actors and filming them do this and then somehow putting them into a technology state so that they appear in these glasses, I'm assuming, or goggles or something like that?
Yeah, They're goggles. There are a lot of different. There are more headsets coming out now, which is great for us. I mean, the hardware is really has been a hurdle and an obstacle to a lot of the things that we want to do. But so how we would do that is we could do it one of two ways. We could make the entire environment digital, and we could use animation, much like a video game. If you've ever seen, I don't know, any name a video game that uses ultra high definition graphics to create these characters in video games. We can make the entire environment look like that and use just nothing but CGI. But we could also go to, getting in, we've noticed that they don't just let people come in to Independence Hall, but you could go to, you could recreate the environment, and then you could hire actors and you could play the whole thing out. What we do is we film, again, we're a full production media company. So we have a lot of cameras. So two of the cameras that we have are ultra high definition, virtual reality cameras, and it will shoot in, you can't see it in 8K yet, but it shoots video in 8K. So it's ultra high definition resolution. And when you're in that environment, you're filming this entire thing happening around you. And it could be real live actors with age appropriate or era appropriate,
sure,
costumes and wardrobe, makeup, and that full production. So we could do it a number of ways. And what we're planning to do is do a live scene with actors. We have a really good relationship with the film industry here in town, and we've garnered some interest in getting some people involved in that project to do it.
Let's talk about that when we get back from break. I'm very curious if you have customers coming to you saying, I want this, or you're having to sell the capabilities because people just aren't aware of the potential of it. Let's pick that up when we get back. Folks, you're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working? Presented by Regions. Chris Cockrell is on the line with me. He's the co-founder and CEO of Third Realm Creations here in Mobile. We'll be back after these breaks.
I'm David Nelson, brewmaster and owner of Braided River Brewing. We want beer that goes along no matter where the adventure takes us and that doesn't make us choose between great beer and drinkability. We're drawn to the Delta and united by beer because to us, the best way to celebrate the Delta is to slow down and savor the moments and the beer together. Come visit our tap room in downtown Mobile and ask for us at your favorite bar or restaurant. Visit online at braidedriverbrewing.com.
Investing, connecting, leading, providing. The Community Foundation of South Alabama brings together philanthropic assets to make Southwest Alabama a better place to live, work, and play. We link donors to philanthropy. Working with you, we build communities. Contact us at communityfoundationsa.org.
Human Resource Departments spend countless hours on insurance billing mistakes, Obamacare rules, and compliance. Employee benefits serve the purpose of recruiting, retaining, and rewarding employees. We can handle all of your benefit needs with cost-effective products, employee enrollments, and handle your HR issues. Benefit admin doesn't have to be complicated. My name is Michael Cowart Jr. of the Cowart Group, and we specialize in helping businesses with their employee benefit packages. Visit CowartAssociates.com.
Listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is brought to you by Regions. Chris Cockrell was born and raised in Mississippi, but now he calls Mobile his home. He has a master's degree from Seton Hall University. He is now the co-founder and CEO of Third Realm Creations based here in Mobile, and it sounds like they're doing some very non-traditional things in the technology world. Maybe this is traditional in technology. I'm just not aware of it. Chris, before the break, we were talking about your customers. Are they coming to you saying, this is what I want? Or because this is so new and different, and I'm using air quotes here, out there, you're having to sell the capabilities of this?
I think it's kind of evolved since we started. We opened we officially started back in 2009. But we really opened our doors to the public and to do sort of bigger projects and kind of quote unquote open the door to the masses about a little over 3 years ago. When we first started, we definitely had to sell what augmented and virtual reality was. We would do speaking engagements in different presentations around in different venues, and we would ask the question, who in the room has heard of augmented and virtual reality? And you may have, like maybe 4 or 5 people would raise their hand that had heard of what that was before. But as we, over the past 3 years, when we do those speaking engagements now, we ask that same question, and well over half the room will raise their hand. So when we first started, we definitely had to explain what the technology did. We had to build demos. Obviously, there's just, when we talk about floating holograms floating on top of business cards and floating on books and all of those things, people look at you like you have 3 heads. It's just way easier, or especially in the early days, it was way easier for us to just show people what it did as opposed to try to explain it. But now, after 3 years, especially in the past 3 years, and even more so in the past year and a half, as augmented and virtual reality have become more and more, commonplace, or I wouldn't say commonplace yet, but it's more and more recognized as a technology. We're fielding more questions from people that say, "Hey, I've seen this. Here's my idea. Can you guys build that for us?"
Yeah. So they're coming to you with concepts. Now that they understand the potential, they're coming to you with concepts. Can you share one of these customer plans that you've built out and how it worked and how it was received?
Well, we've had a few. There have been there are some that are that are kind of the cool factor, and there are some that are not as cool, but just very, very, very useful. There was an idea for people that work on towers, whether it may be electrical towers or cell phone towers or wherever they may be. When you do things like that, there is a added emphasis on safety. And so there's really nothing that you can do to kind of replicate being up on top of a tower and you're trying to fix something as you're kind of built it in. So the concept was that we would do a virtual reality experience where you are suspended, maybe 5 inches off the ground, but in the headset, in the virtual reality headset, you're 100 feet off the ground, and you have this box in front of you, and you have to do X, Y, and Z. I don't want to give away, because it was it's a really good idea, and I don't want to spoil it for the person that brought it to us. But you basically have to perform a number of functions as your body is telling you that you're 100 feet off the ground. And I don't know if you've ever done virtual reality and had that experience, but it's really amazing the power that your sight and what you see has over the rest of your body, and,
sure.
and the sensations that the rest of your body feel. There's a really, really, really great program called the Plank that we've demoed a bunch of times for people, just to show how powerful your sight is over the rest of your body. And the program is, you go up you put on the headset, a virtual reality headset, and you're in an elevator, and you kind of reach out and you press a button, you go up, and then the elevator doors open, and you're 50 stories up, and there's a plank that you have to walk out on.
Oh my goodness.
So, and what's so funny about it is that, we'll put like a little wooden, like a 2x6 or whatever, we'll put on the floor just so you can have something to walk on. But people know, like before you put on the headset, you're standing on the ground. You know that you're not in an elevator, and you know that you're not 50 stories up. But I've yet to see anybody, when that door opens, that they don't take a step back. Because it is 100% real once you're your eyes see it and it tells your brain that this is what I see, the rest of your body follows. So you get that feeling, that pit in your stomach feeling that you get when you're high up. It's your senses are telling you that it's real, but it's not. So that's a very useful thing when you're talking about simulated training.
Yeah, no kidding. So I assume that somebody is observing this training and this concept that you shared with me a moment ago, and is coaching them or giving them feedback afterwards or recording it or something like that, so that the training simulation, if the guy makes a mistake, it doesn't end with his simulated death. But there's somebody that's giving them feedback along the way, huh? That's the purpose of it. It's not just to experience it, but to get coached on it. Am I right?
That's right. And you make a good point that it's you're not putting anybody at risk, but you're simulating the experience, or you're simulating the training as best you can before you send that person into that situation. And one of the things how we kind of set ourselves apart is that we actually build dashboards into the training systems where, when they are doing this training exercise in a simulated environment, we're actually timing them, and we're counting the missteps, we're counting the number of errors. So they also get a dashboard, and there's someone training them there on site. But when they're done, they get a hard printout of how they did, and so they have a benchmark to improve on the next time that they do the simulation, so they can keep getting better and better in these different areas. And then it also allows them to identify certain areas that they need to focus on. Say there's a safety protocol that they've missed, then they'll know that through the simulation dashboard, and they can focus on that the next time. And so it's a really, really cool. And there's a lot of great simulated training applications that I think are just amazing that we have either built or that we would like to build.
So the bio that you sent says healthcare is a client of yours. Is that accurate?
Yes. So my background is in healthcare. Actually, I've worked for 15 years in healthcare leadership roles, and I have a master's degree in healthcare administration. Through that experience and working in healthcare, there were just so many opportunities that I saw where we could, the healthcare industry could really benefit from doing a little bit better on training and simulations. One of the things I remember that I thought was so crazy is that they actually have clinical labs in hospitals, and these things cost so much money. I mean, there's you've probably heard of them. There are some of these patient robots that are around. I think they're $80,000 or $90,000 per robot. And as I, being a kind of a tech guy, and I'm not really I'm a tech guy by hobby. It's something that I've always kept up with. But knowing what virtual reality can do, I mean, you could build a clinical lab in a headset, and it could absolutely replace the need to build out these clinical labs that a lot of these organizations have.
Let's say you were to build out a clinical lab in a headset using virtual reality, and a real lab, and I'm picking a number here, a real lab is going to cost $500,000 to create. Mm-hmm. How much does it cost to create a virtual reality lab? It seems like, and even how long does it take? You could say we could build a physical one in half a year. Again, I'm making things up.
Sure.
It seems like it would take an extraordinary long time and perhaps as much money to create it virtually. Am I accurate?
It would be about half the cost.
Oh, really?
It would be. And honestly, the cost is I think secondary to the availability. So when you build a clinical lab, you can only get maybe 8 to 10 people at a time in a clinical lab. If you build it in virtual reality, you could send it home with people. Hundreds of people could be on it at once. Yeah. So you also talk about, the logistics and just the limitations of having a physical clinical lab. If you build one virtually, again, you could have as many people as you wanted in the same clinical lab. And actually they could be looking at the same thing. You could have direct instructor led sessions where there's an instructor that has 1,000 people in a virtual clinical lab, showing these people how to do this procedure, and then each one of those people could do the procedure, and you could have a monitor or that educator monitor that. Again, it goes back to that built-in dashboard that we build where we can tell what errors they're making, how long it takes them to do the procedure. And then, you can have this instructor-led sort of virtual classroom, but in a clinical setting.
It's amazing. It's
incredible.
Yeah. Chris Cockrell is the co-founder and CEO of Third Realm Creations, based right here in Mobile. Chris, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about whether you think you're a technology company or you some kind of a movie company. I guess a movie production house is the way it sounds. And I imagine that line is gray and getting grayer as we go along. Folks, you're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. 251-260-8100 is the phone/text line. Let us know what you think. And if we need to get Chris back on the line to answer your questions, we'll do so. What's Working is presented by Regions, and we'll be back after this break.
The Community Foundation of South Alabama links donors to philanthropy, builds networks across 8 counties, and builds dreams for those in need. Through our donors' gifts, we make investments that enhance our community via initiatives with broad impact. Working with you, we build communities. Contact us at communityfoundationsa.org.
Life insurance is one of those subjects that make people want to change the subject rather than admit they probably don't have enough. I'm State Farm agent Allison Horner, and that's why I focus on how the benefits of life insurance actually live on by asking people to think in terms of life without having to sell the house insurance, or life without having to give up college insurance. Find out how the benefits of life insurance can live on for your family. Call me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, and get to a better state with State Farm.
I'm Matt Armbruster with Ransom Ministries. We help people in our community that most others have given up on. Please donate your unwanted electronics to Ransom Recycling. We teach life skills, job readiness, and job creation through our electronic recycling program. We take anything with a cord. Find us at ransomministries.com, or you can call us at 251-751-0044.
Listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working is brought to you by Regions. On the phone with me right now is Chris Cockrell, the co-founder and CEO of Third Realm Creations. Per his bio, heavily vested and involved in the film industry for augmented reality and virtual reality movie promotions and post-production work. Chris was a co-producer and in a full-length film called Voices, which was shot entirely in Mobile, Alabama. Chris, prior to the break, I asked you, are you a technology company or a movie production company? What are you?
I would say that we're both. I think that any film production company these days definitely has a tech component to it. There with the different computer graphics and just different programs that you need, all the different things that you need to build a movie. I think the lines are definitely blurred in what we are, and even the things that we build. Going back to the Declaration of Independence virtual reality simulation or experience that we want to build. That's with actors. And a lot of the content that we are building, it definitely goes into. We use a lot of the techniques of film production. We where we are now as a company, we've kind of moved into the sort of focus on the film industry. It's number one. It's just we just like to have fun. That's one of the things that's why we started this business and why we took this leap, is because we wanted to do something that was fun to all of us. And that's where we find that we've had the most enjoyment is working on films and promotions and putting movies together. the film voices that you mentioned, we that's one of the things that we that project was a really, really fun project, but it was born out of necessity. We were trying to pitch virtual and augmented reality movie promotions, things such as augmented reality movie posters. So if you see a movie poster, you could download the movie app, point it to the movie poster, and then we could play a trailer, or we could do some special feature on the movie poster. Things like that. That was our idea. But Universal Studios and Warner Brothers, they're not really answering calls from a bunch of guys from Mobile, Alabama that are talking about this stuff. So, where a door did not exist, we decided to build one. So my business partners, Nathaniel and Charles, have an extensive background in the film industry, and we said, you know what, let's make this movie as something that we wanted to do anyway, and we'll create this own door for ourselves. So so now whenever we go and pitch to a bigger movie production company, we actually have a product in hand that we can show them, as opposed to telling them what our capabilities are.
So if I were to watch the movie Voices, how would I watch it? Do I need goggles? Do I do it on my phone?
It's a full length feature film. It'll be we're not sure on the release date yet. Again, a lot of what's in our current environment has really sort of delayed a lot of things. But you would watch it either on Amazon or in the movies. It's a movie just like any other movie. What we wanted to do in that, though, is we wanted to promote the movie with augmented and virtual reality. So what we did is we shot a scene in the movie with virtual reality camera, so that we could create an experience for the person to be in the scene of a movie, when all of this stuff is playing out around them, just as a promotional tool. And then also we have our movie poster that we have for the movie. We have a movie app, and part of it, one of the features of that app is an augmented reality feature where you tap the AR feature, on your iPhone or your tablet, and then it activates the camera, and then you put the camera to the movie poster, and then there's an AR feature where things it appears on your phone like the feature is inside of the movie poster. It's really hard to explain. I wish, like I was saying earlier, it's so much harder to explain AR than it is to actually show people. But it's really, really cool, really, really cool stuff. I think it would really change the movie promotion industry.
It reminds me a little bit of back in the day, we had an app on our phone that we had to download, and we would aim it at this small barcode, this small square barcode. What is that small square barcode called?
The QR code.
QR code, exactly.
Yeah.
And now that QR code reader is built into the camera on my phone. I no longer need a separate app for it. It's just part of the phone. Do you foresee the day where augmented reality is now a part of the phone and no longer needs an app, so that it's kind of ubiquitous?
Absolutely. They're already in. Yeah, there's already movement on that through Apple and Android. I mean, there's when you talk about the future of augmented reality, it's just so vast and just so crazy. I mean, I'll give you an example of Mobile in the future. Everything will be wearable tech. We've already seen prototypes of, if you look at some, there's a product called Magic Leap. They were the first one to really build a wearable tech set of glasses. So it's basically like you put on a pair of sunglasses. That's the first really, there's been a couple of those. That's the one that's been the most popular, but we've seen prototypes of an iPhone that you wear just like a pair of eyeglasses. And augmented reality, what that will do is if you put on in the future, when you put on that wearable tech and you're standing at the end of Dolphin Street and you look up and you say, "Hey Siri, show me all of the bars on Dolphin Street." And as you look down the street, all of these little pins will pop up all the way down the street. And then you can give you the name, and you can walk to them. They'll give you directions there. And if you say, "Hey Siri, I don't want to go to a bar anymore. I want to find a really good Italian restaurant," and then more little dots all those other dots will go away, and then other dots will pop out, and all this stuff is just popping up in your in your field of view.
And you feel through the glasses that you're wearing.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to, you could walk up to that restaurant and you could look at their logo You can, let's say it's Delphina's downtown, which is a really great place. Give a little plug there. But if you look at their logo, then that, if they wanted to, that restaurant could build in a commercial where they could show or video where, and so when you look at that logo, a video would pop up and it would show you their specials, or it would, maybe their menu could pop up, or they could have even a hologram of a person that stands in front of you, talks to you about the specials that night. And you walk on in. I mean, and all the things I just said, we built for the iPhone already. Those are not things that are some future ideas. The ideas have already been put into place, and they're built through apps. The wearable technology is where it's going next.
So my question, this is all fascinating, but I'm going to draw a parallel here to the Betamax or the video disc. These are technological advancements that were put out in front of the consumer saying this is the way forward, and they never really caught on. Do you fear any of this augmented reality that you're talking about doesn't catch on due to something else that's around the corner that's a little bit better? Is it worth your while to invest in this, not knowing that it's going to become a part of the fabric of our society, or is it already a fabric of the society? We're just not there yet.
I think that's, I think that augmented reality will always, it will be an ever growing part of our reality in everyday life. I truly feel that, especially once we get more and more people to see what the true, the true strength of the utilization and things like education and training and just a ton of other industries that could use it. But I think, going back to the Betamax question, the Betamax was ultimately replaced by something better, something faster, something quicker.
Yeah.
I don't know that there is anything. I might be wrong, but they're because who can see the future? I don't know that there is anything else that to replace augmented reality. I think it's kind of like a video game, so to speak. I mean, I hate to put in that vernacular, but think about the old school Atari, where you just had a joystick and one red button, and that was your video game, and you looked at a 12 or 8-bit kind of character on a TV screen. Video games will never go away. They just get better and better and better and better. Now you got controllers with 15 buttons. You have ultra high definition graphics. I think augmented reality is on that same plane. Augmented reality will never go away. It'll just get better and better and better, and it'll just get easier and easier to use. And the hardware, once it catches up, it'll make it cheaper to use. So I think that's the parallel there, is that I don't think that augmented reality will ever go away. I think it is a great, safe investment. I just think, the technology is just going to advance so rapidly. Where we are this year is going to be vastly different than where we are next year in augmented reality.
Tell me the phone call that you and Nathan and Charles would love to get. These are your business partners, that would make you say, we did it. We've arrived. We're at the top of the list of this world because so-and-so has called us and asked us to make so what?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. So we've built some really cool things for some big companies already. And, one of the ideas that I brought when we co-founded the company together was a surgical simulator. And we built that, which is such a cool project and such a cool thing that we were able to do. I think the answer lies in the idea. So when people call us, I don't know if it's necessarily a project that they want. I think name the company. Anybody that calls us and they want our idea. They want our input into how to build something. I think that's when we feel like we would have been a success, because we were respected and people know that we can do these things, and we can do them in right here in Mobile, Alabama. And we've had a few calls that have been really, really cool, from Fortune 500 companies to say, we saw this program that you built, or we saw this exhibit in this conference. What are your ideas about this. I think that, I don't know if it's a project per se, but I think it's more of the knowledge when we start getting calls about, hey, can we pick your brain about this project or that project? And I guess the ultimate would be, Facebook or Apple that owns they own the Oculus. They're probably the biggest players in the virtual and augmented reality industry. I would say. They're involved in a lot of different things, but if we were to get a call from Oculus and to have them ask us for ideas or ask us to help them with a project or something, I think that would be the ultimate for us.
You want to become not just the producer, but the subject matter expert, the recognized subject matter expert, so that people are coming to you asking for your ideas. That's awesome. Chris, this has been fascinating, and I'm curious. I know I've looked over your website in anticipation of this show. Is there anywhere else people can go? And folks, the website Third Realm Creations, is there anywhere else people can go and see your work and get a better sense? Because there's somebody listening right now saying, I could use this for my business. How does it work? What does it cost? How can I see a demo? Where can they see this?
Well, a lot of the projects that we do have been for individual clients. So there's always, NDAs and disclosure sort of things that we can't share. But I tell you, the one the one project that we worked on, I think we're in the process of kind of updating our website. We still have a lot more content to put on there. But the first piece of content that we put on there was put on there for a reason, because it was such a fun project to work on, was the Nanny Connie book. Nanny Connie is a celebrity nanny that actually was born and raised here in Mobile. Her and her daughter Connie, we work with them, two of the best people that I've ever met. They are just so genuine, love them to death. But yeah, if you go and you buy the Nanny Connie book, you can go and download the Nanny Connie Way AR app. And the AR app actually works in coordination with the book. So when you open the Nanny Connie AR app, the camera will activate and you point it to the cover of the book, and a hologram of Nanny Connie pops up in front of it. It actually looks like she's carved inside of the book. And she tells you a little bit about the book. And then each chapter page will give you a little bit of little additional information on that chapter. And then there's also a link to her website where you can go and get additional information. And then there's some really cool testimonials at the very end with some of her clients, which include Brooke Shields, Justin Timberlake, Jessica Alba. So she's George Clooney. She is really one of the Nanny to the Stars, and that was such a fun project to work on, and they are such awesome people. But yeah, I think that would be probably the best way to kind of to see one of the applications that we have. There's a lot of other things that again, we're working for companies that want a little bit of confidentiality.
Sure.
I would defer to that.
The Nanny Connie Way. I'm familiar. I had lunch with her a couple of months ago. I'm familiar with her book, and I didn't know
awesome.
This was a part of it. I'm going to check it out for the purpose of seeing your work. That's awesome. Folks, Chris Cockrell is the co-founder and CEO of Third Realm Creations here in Mobile. Really exciting what you're doing, Chris. I wish you the best of luck. I'd love to check back in with you after the movie has launched and see how that goes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Love to talk to you about that. That's another thing we're very passionate about is the film industry here in Mobile. I think it's a really, really, really great thing that's going on right now.
You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. What's Working? Presented by Regions. We'll be back after this break with final comments.
Do you sometimes wonder about different money topics, but struggle to find the answers? The Every Dollar Counts podcast with Gulf Coast experts Josh Knoll and Jay Stubbs is made for those folks serious about their financial plan and looking for answers. Josh and Jay dedicate their time to explaining the various services and products available, as well as discussing lifestyle and money interests of the modern-day family. Tune in to Every Dollar Counts on Apple Podcasts and everywhere else you get your favorite podcasts.
That's the sound of rush hour. Hello, recess. Mom! Work from home is a lot of work. Even though we're a little further apart right now, we're still in this together. Regions is donating this ad to local food banks. to shine a light on them as they feed our neighbors in need. Learn how you can help or get help at regions.com/foodbank. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
What's Working with Cam Marston is brought to you by Stella Artois Beer. Stella Artois is a perfect beer for celebration. Nothing caps off a big sale, hitting your incentive goals, or a profitable quarter like a round of Stella's. Brewed first in 1708 as a special Christmas brew, today Stella is a gift for everyone to enjoy year-round. Stella Artois. Find it wherever fine beer is sold.
It sounds to me like Chris Cockrell and his team at Third Realm Creations are having fun, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. And I particularly noted, and this is interesting because it's very applicable to me as well, I particularly noted the desire to be acknowledged by the big guns in the industry, that validation of the peers, which matters so much. I used to kind of be dismissive of things like that. But once I realized that there are other people out there who are doing things kind of similar to me, who are facing the same struggles that I am, and to be able to get their validation through some form or another, whether it's an award, an acknowledgement, or a phone call or something like that, that seems to mean so much to someone like me and apparently someone like Chris and his team. And I can definitely relate to that. I also love that the first or one of the early explorations of this technology that's available to the regular consumer is through Nanny Connie. And if you don't know who she is, you all would be very proud of her, particularly that she is a Mobilian right here in town and had kind of on the forefront. They call her the nanny to the stars. But what she's doing is making these parenting or early childhood parenting skills so accessible to people like you and me. I wish I had had access to her content when my wife and I were going through these types of things. And I love it that you can mix technology with one of the things that human species has been doing since its beginning, and that is raising these children and raising kids and using technology to teach you further how to go about doing something like that. And just love the mix of the two ideas. Folks, What's Working, as you know, presented by Regions. We're always looking for ideas and organizations to meet and to interview. If you know somebody out there that's doing something really interesting, that's got some really good ideas that are on the forefront of what it is that they do, we want to know about them. And it's not just product or services to clients or customers. If you've got ideas on people that are doing things internally that are really thoughtful, we'd like to know about them too. As well as consultants that you know that really are bringing some mindful, there's another word, popular word these days, practices to the workplace. Here's how to get in touch with us. First, there's our phone/text line, which is 251-260-8100. Leave us a text, leave us a message. You can find us on Instagram, What's Working with Cam Marston. No spaces there. You can find us on Facebook. Go to the Facebook search bar, What's Working with Cam Marston, and Twitter, What's Working Cam. You'll find us there too. Now, we do offer this text service from time to time. Write this down. Text What's Working, no apostrophes, no spaces, to 44222. Again, What's Working to 44222, and you'll get whatever offer we have. Usually it's show notes or some sort of special coupon or something like that. Write it down. You can't send every time. We update this stuff, so send another text every now and then. And finally, find the podcasts at cammarston.com. Across the top of the page, you'll see our podcast link. Click on it, and you'll get there. Show is produced by John Thompson with Ion Digital. Special thanks to Kristen Ogden for arranging all the interviews. Have a good week, everybody.